These headphones are awesome, the Klipsch S4i headphones. They have a really good cable quality. They're tangle resistant. They still tangle, but they're harder to tangle. The control panel is big, but it's really comfortable because it has that clip you can attach to your shirt. They're built in a way where you can tell which ear to put in. They're really good for running. They're good for weightlifting. And I'm just giving you this little brief summary, and just in case you're at Best Buy watching this video or at a store. All right, just finished a pretty good workout and used the S4i's Rugged Edition. These perform pretty well. They have really, really good sound isolation. If there's one thing for sure about them that's awesome, is that they have really good sound isolation. They have different tips that you can place on the on the headphones, and these are the ones that I like. I like the ones with the doubles here because they allow for a better sound isolation. I'll show you kind of what it comes with in just a second here. So it comes with this really nice case. It has a pretty good build quality, feels nice, but I don't use cases very much. These are the tips that it comes with. The tips that are actually in here are the original ones that were already pre-installed. I think the bottom-most ones here you see in the video are the ones that were installed, and the top ones are the ones for if you have bigger ear holes. Here's a clip of me running with the headphones. You can see how the control panel is attached to my shirt. It flops around, but it was not something that you could really feel a whole lot. So it was far from annoying. It felt just fine. It felt pretty secure. That clip is pretty handy. And they sat in my ear pretty good. Alright, so I just finished my run. Some quick notes about the S4i Rugged Edition is that these have to sit in pretty deep for them to stay, because otherwise they'll start to come out. And for some people that might be a little bit uncomfortable. I used to have the Shure SC535s, and they would sit pretty deep, but I was used to them and they're very comfortable. So they have to sit in pretty deep. Probably the first 10 minutes of running I was kind of having to fiddle with it to get it sit right. And one small tip, if you already have them, I've completely forgot because I haven't worn headphones like these in a while, is that to get the best fit for trying to run or do active activity is to make sure that you loop her over the ear. Because I was doing this earlier, like when I was using them yesterday, they were like this, you know. So they still work like that, but it works better like this when you're doing active, physically active, because then they sit a little bit better. If you notice that the control panel works perfect, it's right here. I didn't feel like it was too big at all. It didn't bother me. If I let it hang around and I didn't have the clip, it's actually kind of annoying. As far as the cable length is pretty good. You know, it's just the right distance, because sometimes they're too long or sometimes they're too short. So the S4i Rugged Edition really lived up to their ability for running. So they're actually pretty good. You know, I give them if I had to give a scale from 1 to 10, initially when I was running I was going to say like a 6 out of 10, but it's more like an 8 after you get them set right. If you're not used to how deep they have to sit for them to stay in there, it might not be for you. But if you use in-ear headphones already, or these type of style headphones when they have to go pretty deep in the canal, then they'll be alright. Like if you wanted to use, let's say, if I were to compare them to the Earpods, like I am comparing them to, is that the Earpods don't have to sit nearly as deep, so they feel a little bit different. I'll do a quick note about the sound quality comparing the Earpods to the S4i Rugged, is that the S4i's definitely have a much higher quality of sound, especially with the mids and the highs, and even the lows. You know, if I really had to compare them, if there's one thing that the Earpods might have a little bit leg up on, is maybe on the bass. But the problem is, like a lot of the cheaper headphones or the lower end headphones have a tendency to cause, they basically, what they do to make up sound quality, or what I feel like they do to make up sound quality, is they turn up the volume. So for example, like at a, you know, if you were like the Beats by Dre and the Earpods, they have a higher gain, so they're much louder headphones. But like these phones are not as loud. They're loud enough, but they don't distort the sound, because when you turn up the Beats by Dre too loud, or you turn the Earpods too loud, they distort the sound, especially with the mids, like the voices, and definitely the highs. So what that does is it allows for the bass to be a little bit thicker, or I guess maybe slightly deeper. With the i4S or the S4i, excuse me, what they do is they have good bass, but it's more that it's very clean and very crisp and very rich sounding in comparison to like the Beats by Dre. Like I said before, in a previous review, I did the Beats by Dre Studios versus the Earpods, and I'll put that review up now, or I'll put a link here. Is that the Beats by Dre didn't have nearly as good bass as even the Earpods. For some reason, the Earpods felt like or sounded like they were deeper. And they were able to do it without distorting the mids and the highs, whereas the Beats by Dre distort the mids and the highs. So one of the big advantages of the S4i's is that they isolate sound really good. So you can barely hear anything, or if you can't hear anything at all, so what they do is that the headphones stick really deep inside the ear, isolating all background noise, and when you get a good seal, you get really good bass, you get really good mids and highs, you get really good quality. And again, for headphones that are about $100, they're a pretty amazing deal. Now, when you compare them to the Earpods, and I'm talking about practical use, you know, from a sound quality perspective, the S4i's are so much better. They're way better. They have better bass. The only thing to consider is comfort and practical use. So I'm comparing practical use because I'm a practical person. I like to work out. They are actually way better than for working out, because the Earpods kind of fall out when I'm about to do bench press or something and I lean back. Particularly my right side, falls out. The one thing also that I like about the Earpods over the S4i's is that these do not isolate sound. So of course that's going to affect sound quality, but for practical use when I'm out with the family, or if we're going on a long trip, like we went on a trip from to San Francisco, it was about an hour away from where I live, they don't isolate sound. So when we're driving and my wife is talking to me, I can still hear her, whereas with the S4i's I can't. So not really good, because you can't hear what's around you, and maybe I'm playing some light music or I'm listening to a podcast or something, so that's kind of the negative. It can be negative and positive. Again, it depends on your use and your purpose. I'm just giving you a full review so you have a full understanding and real-time perspective of what it feels like to have the S4i's. And again, the comfort part. I'm not sure if I quite like that in the ear that much. And maybe it's something I just have to get used to. So anyways, that's my final recap on the S4i's versus the Earpods. I hope you found this useful, and if you did find this useful, please share it with the people you think that would benefit from learning about these headphones. So in this section of the video, I'm going to show you the build quality, or I'm going to attempt to anyway. If you look at it, how I'm moving it around, the cables are a little bit stiff, and that's kind of good, because what that does, it allows them to not, they're a lot harder to tangle, because when you get softer cables or cheap cables, they tangle very easily. Like my Earpods, which I still love, tangle very easily, and it's really annoying. These ones don't tangle, but they still tangle, just not as easily.